Hey guys, and welcome back to Buff's Vintage Bikes. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the restoration of this beautiful Ti Raleigh in Reynolds 753 tubing. Raleigh established the Specialist Bicycle Development Unit in 1974. That particular factory was responsible for building their top-end race machines. And this frame came out of that factory. All the frames that left that factory were stamped with the SB prefix on the BB. This particular bike is SB 5892, which dates it at around 1983. Ideally, I'd like to keep this bike as original as possible, but the rust on that fork makes that almost impossible. It needs to get attention, and I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to match that color after years of fade on this gold. Now the temptation is very high to paint this bike in the classic Ti Raleigh black and red color scheme, because that's the most noticeable, of course. But I'm not the kind of guy that does things like that. I like to keep classic bikes that have got history as original as possible. So this bike is going to stay in the gold scheme, although I am going to respray it. I've ordered a full set of decals for this bike from H.Lloyd in London. They're on the way to South Africa. They were kind enough to match the decals on the seat tube that wasn't quite the same as in their catalogue as well. So we're going to get it as close as possible to an original, so that whoever inspects it is going to have to look long and hard to see the difference on it. As per usual, I've made notes on a piece of paper and I've marked all the decal positions. I've taken lots of photographs, and that's going to be the benchmark that we'll stick to when we start putting this frame back together. So enjoy the video as I take you through the restoration and the respray of this particular frame. So you may be wondering why I'm removing these decals if I'm going to have this frame blasted. The reason is I'm going to have this frame blasted with a water jet instead of aluminium oxide. We're going to use water because Reynolds 753 tubing is very thin. And I'm afraid that the oxide might be too aggressive for this frame. So vapor blasting with water is a lot gentler, and if you have a decal that's still on your frame and you're doing vapor blasting, you will physically see a profile difference between where the decal was and where you've actually had some material removed. So I'm just trying to avoid that happening. So in most instances it may not even remove the decal. That's how gentle it is, depending what bead they're using. So it's best when you're taking the frame in for vapor blasting is to remove all these decals. Actually, the same goes for oxide as well. I always remove the decals anyway. Interestingly enough, something I noticed is that this Raleigh and the Raleigh on the down tube are not decals. It's almost as if this is an airbrush. This is actual paint. And the paint is over the clear coat. Leaves me wondering if it was like that originally. I would imagine as such though. I just can't understand why. Which is also why you see this patina on this paint, because it never had the clear coat protecting it. It's a similar issue with this Ti logo down here. This is airbrushed. This is not actually a decal. Scratches off really easily if you just sort of scratch it. So definitely no clear coat over this either. So as I often do, I changed my mind and decided to go for the aluminium oxide blasting instead. And it really highlights the quality of this frame. These are some of the cleanest lugs and lug work I've ever seen done on any steel frame. You can see a lot of time and effort has gone into building this frame. Even these forks that are pinned on both sides or pinned all the way through. You cannot hide this quality of workmanship. And it's also the lightest steel frame that's ever been through my workshop. 1.58 kg. That's a new record. Right, so we're in the workshop and I'm going to give the frame an etch primer now. Just going over it with this tack rag. That's what it looks like. It's very sticky. Get rid of all the extra fluff and stuff on the frame after I've cleaned it and degreased it. Now time to hit it with that primer. I won't film this because the camera is going to get damaged. So time to flat the frame back, get this primer nice and smooth. Instead of using 800 wet paper like I normally do, I'm trying something different here. I found these soft spongy sanding pads at our local paint supplier. I'm giving this a try. It's nice and soft, it conforms to the frame, allows you to get into the places easier, sort of around it as you're sanding as well. I'm hoping it's not too rough, because if you use too rough a sanding block on your primer and you're spraying gold or silver, sometimes the scratches can come through on your base coat. Obviously don't want that to happen, but so far it's looking really good. So I'll carry on with this and we'll get this frame as smooth as possible before we apply that gold. The other nice thing about the sponge is you can cut it into strips, and it allows you to get into those hard to reach places, like here between the chain stays and the BB, and up here as well. You can simply just fold the strip through there like that and then just give it a rub to get into those hard to reach places. Works a whole lot better than what normal sandpaper does. So it's now Saturday afternoon. I've just finished flatting back this frame where I had done the touch-ups. There was that dent in the top tube that's now no longer visible. And then just to show you the fork, after I resprayed it, I've now flattened it down. So that's what the, oops, nearly dropped it. That's what the fork's looking like now. Man, that's turned out a whole lot better. I am happy about that. So, off to the workshop and let's get some gold paint laid down on this Raleigh. Same procedure as always now. 800 grit water paper, double water, flat this clear coat back nice and smooth so that we can apply the decals. So here's a look at the frame once it's all been flatted back. I waited 3 months for these decals to arrive in South Africa thanks to our rather pathetic postal service. Great service from H.Lloyd. They shipped it within a week, but somewhere in the process it got lost. And they were kind enough to do a custom decal for me as well. This particular Raleigh badge, which they never had as part of their standard stock, so they printed it for me. Of course, time to refer back to the drawing that I did with all the measurements. You can see it's been in the workshop. It's got some stains on it now. as this video draws to an end, thanks for watching it. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to my channel if you aren't yet a subscriber. And if you enjoyed the refurb, I'd really appreciate it if you'd hit that like button. I thoroughly enjoyed restoring this bike. It's amazing the difference that a quality frame makes to the amount of effort that you as an individual put into it. It's almost as if you are compelled to do the frame justice when you see the quality that's already gone into the frame. And I'm going to lie to you if I say I didn't try extra hard on this frame to get the result that I've got here, just because I felt I needed to do justice to the craftsman who put this frame together. And I very much hope I managed to achieve that. Thanks for watching and keep well.